Hello guys, it's the Unclear 999. Today's video is about the reason why she broke that trust and cheated as well. I have personally been in that position and where I did everything for her, but she didn't care. She cheated and it still broke my heart. Life has a brutal way of showing you who you really are when everything you thought was stable suddenly crumbles beneath you. One of the most soul-crushing experiences any man can go through is when the woman he loved, trusted, and planned a future with walks away, or worse, walks into the arms of another man. The betrayal doesn't just leave a crack in your heart, it tears your identity apart. It makes you question everything. Was I not good enough? Was I blind to the signs? Was all the love I gave meaningless? These questions don't fade quickly. They echo in your mind in the quiet moments in the middle of the night during lonely meals, or when a song unexpectedly triggers a memory of her laugh, her touch, or the way she used to look at you like you were her entire world. But now, she's gone. Maybe she left suddenly, or maybe she drifted away emotionally over time before physically leaving. Maybe you noticed her becoming distant, spending more time on her phone, suddenly dressing differently, smiling less around you, and laughing more at other people's jokes. Or maybe you never saw it coming, and one day she simply said, "I'm not in love with you anymore," and your world came crashing down. And if she cheated, the pain hits even deeper. It isn't just about losing her, it's about betrayal. It's about knowing that the most sacred bond you thought you had was violated. It's about realizing that while you were dreaming about forever, she was giving her body and time to someone else. The pain can make a man collapse. But here's where the story doesn't end, it begins. You are allowed to grieve. You are allowed to cry. You are allowed to feel rage, humiliation, sadness, and even numbness. But you are not allowed to stay there. Because this pain is a teacher. It is revealing parts of you that need healing, boundaries you never knew you had to set, and self-worth that must be rebuilt from the inside. Real growth begins when you stop asking why she left and start asking what you were meant to learn. Sometimes women leave not because you're unworthy, but because they're lost. Sometimes they cheat not because you're lacking, but because they are broken in ways that have nothing to do with you. And yes, sometimes we as men do fall short, neglecting, not communicating, taking for granted, letting ego lead instead of heart. But regardless of what happened, you now stand at a fork in the road. Let this break you permanently, or let it rebuild you. The man you are becoming through this heartbreak has the potential to be more powerful, more compassionate, more self-aware, more emotionally intelligent, and more grounded. Use this time to reflect, not obsess. Journal. Go to the gym not to impress her, but to reclaim yourself. Read books, speak to mentors, and pick up skills you set aside for her. Remind yourself that your life's value is not anchored to someone who chose to leave it. Grow so strong that the next woman who enters your life meets a man who has faced his darkness and risen. Your worth was never lost. It was just hidden beneath the pain. And in healing, you'll realize she didn't break you. She simply forced you to meet the version of yourself you were always meant to become. Sometimes she leaves, not because you were unworthy, but because something in her needed what you couldn't give or refused to understand. Maybe it wasn't just about you. Maybe it was about her chasing validation, attention, or a version of herself that didn't fit within the quiet safety of what you built. When a woman cheats or walks away, it sends a shockwave through a man's soul. It breaks something invisible inside. Not just trust, but identity. You begin to question everything. Was I not enough? Was it my looks, my finances, my ambition? Was I too cold, too vulnerable? The truth is rarely so simple. People leave for reasons they can't always explain. Some cheat because they are broken, others because they are afraid, and some simply because they mistake desire for love. But for the man left behind, the reasons blur into one: betrayal. And it hurts. Not just emotionally, but spiritually. You grieve not only the woman, but the version of yourself that existed in that relationship. The man who smiled more, the man who believed he was chosen, the man who thought forever was possible. Her leaving doesn't just take her presence. It leaves a silence filled with echoes of everything you gave. The time, the energy, the sacrifice, the moments you defended her, supported her, trusted her. All of it feels wasted. But pain when looked at honestly, becomes a mirror. And if you stare long enough, you begin to see not just what broke, but what must be rebuilt. This is the doorway to growth. Not a motivational quote, not a fast recovery, but real, brutal transformation. The kind that starts with sitting in the wreckage, feeling every ounce of rejection, crying if you must, screaming if it helps, but not running. Because real healing doesn't come from distraction, it comes from clarity. And clarity tells you this: her leaving says something about her, your healing says something about you. In the quiet after heartbreak, a man is often left wrestling with ghosts, not just of her, but of who he was when he was with her. There's something haunting about being someone's everything one day and then nothing the next. It forces a man to face the uncomfortable truth that love is not always forever, and people's promises are not always rooted in permanence. And yet, there is a dangerous temptation after betrayal to internalize her leaving as a reflection of your failure. You start to replay every moment, obsess over the arguments, the late replies, the nights she turned cold, looking for the sign you missed, the hint of another man. You may become convinced that if you had only done one thing differently, made more money, looked a certain way, been more romantic, less emotional, she might have stayed. But that is the lie heartbreak whispers, that your worth was tied to her ability to stay loyal. And if you believe it, you start to diminish yourself to fit the box of what someone else desires, rather than grow into who you're truly meant to be. Pain doesn't only teach lessons, it offers a choice: to shrink into bitterness or to rise into wholeness. Because the real tragedy isn't that she left. The real tragedy would be you forgetting who you are because of it. Growth starts when you stop chasing explanations and start asking deeper questions. Not why did she do this to me, but what did this reveal in me? Did it uncover your people-pleasing tendencies? Your fear of abandonment? Your need to be everything to someone else while neglecting yourself? The answers are not always easy, but they are always necessary. Sometimes heartbreak is the hammer that breaks the false self apart. The self that was performing, overextending, begging to be loved. The self that was built around someone else's comfort, not your truth. What hurts the most isn't just that she left, or that she gave her body or heart to someone else. It's that, in the process, she made you question your own value. Suddenly, the compliments she once gave feel fake, the future plans feel like lies, and your memories twist into questions. Was any of it real? Did she mean it when she said she loved me? The betrayal burrows into your confidence like rust into iron, quietly, persistently, until what once felt strong now feels brittle. And in that space, many men break silently. They distract themselves with other women, money, status, or revenge. They pretend they've moved on when they haven't even begun to face the pain. They chase validation in all the wrong places, thinking if someone else finds them attractive, maybe they'll stop feeling rejected. But healing doesn't come from numbing. It comes from meeting your wounds head on. It comes from asking yourself hard questions. Who am I without her? What parts of me were neglected while I was busy pouring everything into someone who could walk away? Heartbreak is an uninvited teacher, but one that will shape you if you let it. And this is where a new version of you can emerge. One that no longer defines himself by being wanted or accepted, but by how deeply he accepts himself. Because you weren't abandoned because you were unlovable. You were abandoned because she couldn't meet you where you were going. Her leaving was not your ending. It was your awakening. There is power in that moment when you stop asking why she left and start discovering why you stayed so long in something that wasn't your line. The man you will become, more grounded, more whole, more self-aware, is forged in this fire. You grow not by pretending it didn't hurt, but by turning that pain into wisdom.